So now we'll hear from Jason Thompson for National Committeeman.
Hey everybody, I'm Jason Thompson. I wish I had more than 5 minutes, so I'm going to talk fast. What you're doing here today as a Republican Assembly is important.
That's right.
It's important because it's really the main thing that you're supposed to be doing, right? And you want, really the Republican Assemblies are supposed to be electing the most conservative, tried and true candidate, right? So you can go into the convention as a block and you vote for that person. How do I know this stuff? How does Jason Thompson know this? Because I'm a founding member of the Georgia Republican Assembly. That's why. I'm a lifetime member. As a matter of fact, my wife, Julianne, was chair of GRA before Alex, and Alex has grown this thing to the chair. There was a time when there was a handful of us going around the state, me and Kay and Pat, and God, a lot of it was supporting Josh McCoon's legislation, right? Around the state. Speaking of my wife, I have to address some things because we heard about this just a little bit ago about how, you know, sometimes when they don't like the candidate and don't have anything to run on, they go after their family, right? So let me address this. I have a wife who has a part-time job. Well, let me ask this question. How many of you believe that there should be more financial literacy and civics in education, especially high school? Right. So my wife has a part-time job. It's under the Securities Division of the Secretary of State, and she goes to colleges, military bases, whatever. It has nothing to do with elections or any of that. And she has no contract with Dominion, right? That's pretty silly. And then I have a daughter who actually works in the office there. She's more of an errand person. She would hate that I say that. Because, you know, as a government employee. She's right now with my wife in Charleston and then picking up my son in Statesboro. She's going to law school. So I'm so proud of all of those. And look, I have a lifetime of conservative activism. And I think that's really the difference between, one of the main differences between me and my opponents. You know me. I have a lifetime of conservative political activism. I have endorsements. And these endorsements, by the way, don't come ex nihilo, like God created the earth out of nothing. They come because people know me. They know the work I've done. Like Turning Point Action. They support me. They endorse me. Charlie Kirk endorsed me. Harmony Dillon. I was on her whip team. I had some of you were on this. I did a video for her in Georgia. And honest God, truth is, I wish Harmony would have won, right? She would have been so much better than Ron, obviously. But what it did was, it brought patriots together within the RNC. So, you know, you like to hear, yeah, the RNC sucks. And a lot of times we're like, yeah, it does suck. Wait, I'm on the RNC. But, whoa, hey. But there are good folks on the RNC. And look, I'm going to tell you this story. It's the first time I've told a group of people this. I told Amy to listen to this because it's important. The downfall of Rana happened during a members-only meeting. Okay? I think we were in Las Vegas at the time. And it was because of my questions. And my questions were regarding the alternate electors. And my questions, it was for the budget, and I said this. Are you budgeting for the alternate electors? There are people in this room who are under indictment. Yes. We have other members who are like David Schaefer, former members who are also under indictment. Yes. If you're not going to budget for them, are you planning on budgeting when you are sued under the DC Nonprofit Code to indemnify them? Wow. To my disbelief, Rana answered the question. If I were an attorney, I'd say, don't answer the question. She did, because she's pompous, okay? She answered the question. Here's what she said. Not our problem. She yelled it out. That's a state thing. Not our problem. And I said, Yeah, actually, it is a problem. And it's unfortunate you're saying that. By the way, I was very diplomatic. There were people yelling about stuff beforehand. And I said, I'm not going to yell, and I was very diplomatic. And my voice is kind of like this, and she was yelling. Not our problem. They're going to have to deal with it on their own, the state issue, etc. And then she said, I'm right on the law. And I said, what? Well, I'm a lawyer. And I said, I've looked at the DC Nonprofit Code, and I said, okay, so let's just say, hypothetically, you're right on the law. You're not, but let's just say you are. What is your answer to these people that are sitting here that today in front of you that are under indictment? Screw them? And she said, well, no, I'm not really saying that. Anyway, after that happened, it was like Tyler Boyer, my friend, who is now under indictment with Turning Point, said your question set up a domino effect for that day. And what happened was, there was a guy from another state that got up that started yelling at me and said, this is Trump's fault. This is it, one of the more moderates that we hope is gone soon. And Josh got up and spoke. Tyler got up and spoke. Afterwards, I ran into the then general counsel. I said, what did you think of that? He said, well, I'll tell you what I thought about it. I told her to apologize to you, which of course she didn't, and that you were right on the law. Okay? Then I ran into my friend John Fredericks. I also ran into Steve Bannon. And they've been saying for a while, what are you guys going to do to get her out of there? And I said, we don't have the votes right now. It's got to be Trump. Well, guess what happened? It wasn't soon thereafter that Trump said, come on down, you're out of here. And that happened, thank God. John Fredericks says, he came to a fundraiser thing of mine and he said, I single-handedly took her down. I don't think I'd go that far. Ultimately, it was Trump. But I do think I had a lot to do with it. And I'm proud of that. Because honestly, she needed to go. She doesn't care about alternate electors, and I think there's a reason for that. You can actually go back and look at, there's things online, you can go and look at depositions she's done, etc. One of the things that I really love being your voice at the RNC, okay? One of the things that I haven't been great at is bragging about myself. I'm not a shameless self-promoter. I hate doing it. And, promoting myself. But, I'm running for this, so I have to tell you things that I've done. All right? So, one of the things I've done is I helped shepherd through, I was on the resolutions committee at the time, a paper ballot resolution, okay? Hand-marked paper ballot resolution. It's called a Return to Excellence. You can look it up online. Tyler Boyer is who's with Turning Point, National Committeeman, Arizona, was the lead sponsor of that, and I helped him with that. I also helped him with the resolution on the alternate electors as well. And that passed. There was a bunch of arguing, but ultimately, and it got scaled down after some of Rana's henchmen went after, there were attorneys and got it changed and amended, but ultimately it passed. And it passed unanimously. So did the hand-marked paper ballot resolution. That passed unanimously too. So, look, things are looking up. Obviously, those aren't the law, right? Resolutions are really a policy statement. But that's where things are moving. There's a lot more people that have been elected, and it's getting better on the RNC. And I was talking to Brand 4, and he said, well, you should tell them, if the RNC, if it were like the Senate, you wouldn't say, get rid of Rand Paul and Ted Cruz because the whole Senate sucks, right? So there are some of us, I'm asking you for your vote, not only at the convention, but here today. I think it's important that we as a GRA go in there with some force and really let the convention know. Yes. All right? I've had your back, I've always had your back. When I go to the RNC, I'm thinking about you. I'm thinking about the Constitution. I'm thinking about conversations that we've had over the years about all kinds of things. Remember, Alex, the time I did conservatism outside the box? Catherine was there. When I was the district chair, I've always tried to bring in new people, and you've done a great job with that, Alex, too. And I don't know where Josh went, but he has been phenomenal as a chair.
Yeah.
He basically got handed the steering wheel of the Titanic. He's raising money, and by the way, I've put in my own personal money for fundraisers that we have had for alternate electors, okay? So I've done that too. I'm also raising money for the RNC. My wife's helping me out on that. And it's going phenomenal right now because we have new leadership. People are literally saying, I'm not giving another dime to RNC until she's gone. I'd say, I don't blame you, okay? She's gone. We've got a new great leader in Michael Watley. Laura Trump's been, you see her on TV, she's great. She's doing great. We had our old co-chair had to be removed because you have to have a male and female. Drew McKissick, he's chair of South Carolina. He's still on with the RNC in some capacity. He helps states out and with grassroots things, and he's a great guy, and he's doing a wonderful job too. So things are really looking up for the RNC. Election integrity is #1 for Michael Watley, and it's #1 for me too. I'm trying to set up attorneys all over the state with this. I know Alex is standing, I'm going to make it quick with this. So, in the past, what we've done with the state committee is we've had this war room where we have attorneys go down there and sit there, and calls will come in, and then by that time it's too late. So what I've told these guys is, and by the way, I got this idea from Michael Watley, who did it in North Carolina. Have attorneys ready to go in the counties, right? Local attorneys, like Alex, like Catherine, like myself. The judges know them, and they know the judge, right? So they're trial attorneys, okay? We also need the egghead political attorneys too, and I like to call them. We do need those too. But more importantly, all these things on election day are really trial attorney things when you're dealing with injunctive relief. And I'm very passionate about this, as you can see. I've seen too much. I was the only attorney to win anything in 2020, if you didn't know. That blue opaque barrier thing in Fulton County, that was my case. I wasn't going to go on News Caboodle and talk about it, but guess what day that was? It was January 6th, so I got bumped. But I was in Amelia Island for our RNC meeting, and I was working on a motion for sanctions and a motion to, I'm losing my mind, not to compel, but contempt, a motion for contempt, a motion for sanctions, which ended up getting denied. She didn't want to do it, that judge. I got by on standing where all these other attorneys didn't. You know why? Because I'm good at what I do. I'm a trial attorney like these two are, and I know how to do things in court. Those are the people I'm looking for throughout Georgia. I'm having these conversations with different attorneys that should be ready to go in court to defend us. And that's, look, I could go on and on and on about a lot of different things I'm doing. I really appreciate your support. If you ever have any questions, you can, I know there's going to be questions, but I'll give you my cell number. I've always done this. I've been the most grassroots national committee man you've ever had. 404-664-4626. You go to my website, jasonthompson.gop, all right? Bunch of information on there. Thank you so much for having me today.
So Jason went just a few minutes over, so Jason Frazier is going to have equal time, 12 minutes and 55 seconds. So there you go. Hopefully you can jump out there. Just don't fall.
All right, thank you. So I've reduced my speech quite a bit down, so I don't think I could even hit that number. But anyway, good afternoon. I really appreciate you coming here today and spending the afternoon hearing everybody's speeches. So you know a lot about the other gentleman's background and what he's done. You probably have heard some of the things that I've done. Maybe you know what I've done, maybe you don't. But I'm going to give you a little bit about my background, where I'm from, and some of the things that I have done to fight Fulton County and some of the other issues. So again, you can't tell from my accent, I'm not from Georgia. My wife's from Dunwoody, so that's what brought me down here. I grew up in rural Indiana, a small town, and in what some people might refer to as the wrong side of the tracks. But growing up on the wrong side of the tracks taught me a lot. It taught me grit, it taught me to be a self-starter, it taught me to never give up, and with those skills, that's how I was so successful fighting Fulton County on all the things that I've done. Just essentially navigating corruption. That's the biggest thing. Continued to work hard through high school, went to Purdue and studied mechanical engineering, so that's kind of my educational background there. Worked for a few years. Company wanted to pay for my MBA, so I did an MBA in Master's of Finance from Indiana University, Kelley School of Business, and worked for several more years. Worked in operations as a strategic planner and in manufacturing. And did that for several years. Again, you grow up very little, you need very little, so I saved everything I could. I started out investing as a young boy. Essentially, compounding interest can make anybody have all they need in a short period of time. So just continued to save everything. My wife also is a mechanical engineer, so we had dual income, that really helps. So long and short of it, the reason I'm telling you this is because with all of that, I was able to retire at the ripe old age of 35. Wow. And I'm not saying that as a pat on the back or anything of that nature. I really don't like to tell too many people that, but you need to know where I'm coming from. You need to know why I'm doing what I'm doing. The reason I'm doing what I'm doing and able to get all of the accomplishments done in Fulton County fighting that corruption is because I can't be canceled. AJC has tried to cancel me for years. A lot of other leftist news programs have come after me. Even in the well on Signy Die, Syra Draper came after me whenever they were getting ready to pass SB 189. She called me out by name. That's a badge of honor. So long and short of it is I can't be canceled. You're not gonna fire me. I'm voting from the heart. I'm voting for what people want me to vote for, and I'm going to continue to do that because I'm not worried about the next job, the next rung on the ladder. Essentially, I'm trying to do this RNC role. Last time I checked, it doesn't pay. Before that, I tried to get on the Fulton County Board of Elections, and that was illegally denied by the Board of Commissioners. We're still working through that. A lot of you know quite a bit about that. But that position didn't just come to me. That position came because I started out fighting Fulton County. I got a copy of the voter rolls, started digging through there and finding all kinds of anomalies. I mean, a blind man can see the problems there. I fought for several months, called them, drove down there, sat in front of their desk before they would ever hear any of my complaints. And was like, hey, we've all been to a UPS store. I don't think anybody lives here. So finally, after months of fighting, I got them to take a couple of UPS residents seriously and have a challenge hearing. I also tried to get them to take a couple of duplicate registrations off the rolls. And you may not know what that is. I was shocked by that. It's like they request, you need to have an ID, a state ID. A lot of times you have your social number in there, you get your full birthday. How on earth are people registered multiple times? Long and short of it, I found tens of thousands of people registered multiple times. But I knew Fulton County would fall over if I gave them that many right off the cuff, so I gave them 2 sets of duplicates. I don't remember the first gentleman's name, but it was essentially the exact same first name, middle name, last name, year of birth, and address. Clearly the same person listed twice. I found other ones listed as many as 11 times in Fulton County. But the other one, because a lot of these are typos, you might have a middle initial, you might have a typo in the name. So because of my fun attitude on life, I turned in Rufus and his imaginary twin brother, Boofus. I figured they could not look at me with a straight face and say, well, I think Mr. Boofus might be a real guy, so we're going to leave him on there. So I got him to finally take that after months of fighting. And because of the uphill battle working with these people, I'll try to be nice here, I decided on the drive down, and I worked my tail off getting ready for that challenge hearing, to give them 11,780 lines of duplicate registrations at that challenge hearing. Wow. Now, why did I stop counting there? Because that's where Fulton County likes to stop counting. And I figured they would understand. So if you don't know that number, ask your neighbor. They'll tell you. All right? So that's where, fighting them for months and months, I finally decided to join the GOP, and that's when I got the nomination to be on the Fulton County Board of Elections. And essentially, if you can't beat them, join them, try to change it from the inside. So that was my goal. Right. But the left they knew damn well they could not let me in there because I will not give up. I can't be bought. I don't have any conflicts of interest. And I'm going to find the fraud. I've already found fraud. I've found people on these duplicate registrations I tell you about. All you got to do is look at their voting history. Some of these duplicate registrations have voted more than one time, and I know some people in this room have seen that. And I'll take a step back. I don't know that the individual voted more than once, but somebody voted that extra ballot. A lot of times, that extra ballot is a mail-in ballot, which you might find interesting. But I turned those in as Secretary of State complaints. My first complaint, since I've got a few extra minutes, I turned it in to the Secretary of State, and I, just like Fulton County, I didn't want to give them too many, so I just gave them 5 people that were registered twice and were given credit for voting on each individual unique ID number at the same address. So I turned those in initially to Fulton County, and I said, hey, Fulton County, these look like duplicate registrations. They accepted the duplicates, confirmed that they are duplicate pairs, and turned them off. So that's confirmation. These are the same people. I had the voter history file from before the merge. Seems pretty cut and dry. Both unique IDs of the same person voted in 2020. So I turned that into the Secretary of State's office. Well, I was given an email after that complaint, and it was from the Secretary of State's chief investigator. And she emailed Fulton County and said, this isn't something we're going to investigate. So that kind of irritated me a little bit. And so what did I do? Well, I don't give up, just like I told you before. So I put in another complaint. And I said, you know what? This gives the impression of collusion. There's enough lawyers in this room. I didn't want to say they're colluding. Maybe they're not. But it sure does give the impression. If Fulton County is being warned about me by the Secretary of State when I turn in people that were registered twice and we're getting credit for voting twice in the same election, at least somebody ought to take a look at that. Right. What happened? Is it an error? Is it an anomaly? Or is there something shady going on? But either way, long and short of that is I got illegally denied for the first time in Fulton County history to be on the Board of Elections. The law says shall. There's enough lawyers in here that know what shall means. Yes, sir. But I am still not up there. And that was a bit of a blessing in disguise. What happened there, we fought for a little while, and then we put Julie Adams up there. She's a rock star. I'm very proud of that woman. And the fact that she will take that, and I don't have to be up there, to be honest, I'm not mad about it. So it really boosted my network. People reached out to me and said, hey, if Fulton County is going after you that hard, you must know what you're doing. So my network grew tremendously. And then I went from turning in challenges to Fulton County myself to teaching others how to do it, so that way we can spread the wealth, get other people to do it. There's some in here that have turned in voter challenges. I don't know all the answers. I learned from them, they learned from me. We're working together. So again, it's opened up a lot of opportunities. So now, why did I want to put my name in the hat to be your representative on the RNC? Well, simply put, out of all the work I've done and all the people I've worked with, I could name a few. I've gotten help right here from folks at GRA. Several in this room have worked with me. I've gotten help from the GOP. I've gotten help from Cause of America, Citizens Defending Freedom. I work with Dr. Rich Richards. He's the one developing Eagle Eye, And my objective there is to work with him, collaborate with him, and have him outsource my job. Because he can find things, once you automate it, hopefully he can automate me out of this deal. So I can do other things and be more productive. So I've listed several. I've got several other folks. I know I've missed several that have been very inspirational and helpful on this cause. But one name is missing. The RNC has never reached out to me. They have never called. They have never worked with me. And I've even had people ask the RNC at some of these meetings, hey, you know, it sure would be great if we had a voter roll from another state so we could see when they say they moved to another state if they're there. And we weren't given any help. Now I know Rana was in charge then, and hopefully the winds are shifting, but at that point in time, we were not given any help. So I started doing that myself too. I got a copy of the Florida voter rolls and North Carolina voter rolls, spent an afternoon and found 22,000 people registered in the state of Georgia, filed an NCOA, exact name match. They live in Florida, the address they said they were living at, and they're registered there. They're registered in 2 states. Fulton County came back after we gave a few of those to Earl Ferguson. We gave him the North Carolina double registrants. He was turned down in Fulton County because Fulton County said, well, you know what, just because you're registered in 2 states, we're not going to take him off. You've just lost your residency, but not your registration. Yeah, so you can watch the video on that, but that one, again, a little frustrating. Where's the help from the RNC on that? A little disappointing. So, long and short of it is I know Rana's out, but the seas have changed. There are a lot of people changing. A lot of the grassroots folks are taking over and trying to improve the party, and that's what I want to do. I don't know if the fact that we haven't gotten election integrity help from the RNC is because of the people within, or if it's purely Rana stopping us. But I would like to help educate those folks on what the real problems are. You hear all kinds of things. You don't know what's nonsense and what's real anymore. So I've got the actual data. I can flip open my laptop and show people real examples. I've done that with several legislators after I testified at the Senate Ethics Committee because they were curious. So I just spent an afternoon and said, hey, these are all people double registered. These are all people at the UPS score that they recognize because it's in their district. And, you know, I'll find some folks that have passed away that it's a simple issue, just take them off. But the fact is, we need educated on this. A lot of the folks need educated so that way we can get buy-in and push to the finish line. We need other states to understand this. The RNC gets a lot of donations. And some of the other folks commented on this. RNC called me several years ago. I told them, I couldn't in good faith give you a nickel. I give to individual candidates. I will work my tail off. But with Ronna in charge, her beliefs do not line up with mine and I can't do it. So anyway, thank you. So long and short of it is I'm here for you guys. I have no conflicts of interest. Last time I checked, this job doesn't pay either. I'm doing this for you. I'm doing this for the people. I want to help Georgia improve. I want to help this country improve, and that's why I'm putting my name in that. So thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Is the microphone on? Oh no, I have a lapel mic. All right. Well, anyway, Jason, please have a seat up here, and Jason Thompson, please come up as well. And we're going to have a question and answer time.
12 minutes to 2. Hands up if you got questions. Keeping in mind, this question and answer session is the only thing keeping between us and getting done with the business.
This should work.
All right, guys.
All right, Jared Jones. All right.
Yes, Jared Jones. Great speeches, both of you. You guys sound awesome, both of you. My question, though, is that right now the GRA, we are supposed to be acting as the conscience of the GOP to motivate them to move towards conservative policy decisions, conservative candidates, not Democrats that want a tax cut, okay? So one of the things that has often been happening with the GRA is that the opposition is going to try to defame us. They always do. And it's very easy to twist the narrative very quickly within the mindset of a normal person who doesn't really know what's going on. Take the Brian Pritchard controversy that's going on. No matter how anybody feels about it, the narrative can be twisted very easily to motivate people to think one thing versus the other. My issue, and this is more for Mr. Thompson here, when people talk about your wife and daughter's connection with the Secretary of State, Brad is not very popular here in Georgia, okay? So I can just see it in my mind, the opposition, like, you know, they're going to say, oh, look at the GRA, they're motivating for, if we were to give the nomination to Mr. Thompson here, oh, the GRA is nominating somebody who has connections with Brad Raffensperger. They're making money off of Brad Raffensperger. That's what they're going to say, regardless of the fact that it has nothing to do with the elections, like you said. And thank you for bringing it up with us and being transparent about that. I appreciate you doing that.
Yeah, thank you for not beating your wife anymore.
Yeah. Well, anyway, my point is, how are we going to counter the narrative against that in an effective way?
Yeah, I just did.
Okay.
So I gave you a good answer. What you're saying is, you know, this is ridiculousness. Neither one of them have anything to do with elections, all right? It's kind of like saying that somebody who works for well, somebody did this with Josh. Well, he's the governor's attorney, right? That isn't how it works, right? So there isn't, you know, Catherine earlier we were talking, she said, you know, there's a rumor out there that Raffensperger might like you. I'm like, oh my God. You know, I mean, I'm a ray of frickin' sunshine, people. People like me, you know? The governor probably likes me too, and you can spread that rumor around. I don't know. I can tell you this. When I was in 2020, when I was in the fight of it with Fulton County, and Gabe Sterling was going on TV, like Frank Drebin with the fireworks going off, saying, nothing to see here. I called him and said, what in the hell are you doing? There's a lot going on here. I just got done with this. They just signed this consent order, and now they're violating immediately, and you're going on TV saying there's nothing going on here. There is. So, apparently you're not going to be satisfied with whatever answer.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying what the establishment is going to say.
Yeah.
I'm not questioning what you're saying. I believe you. But to me, it's just like they're not going to tell the truth. They're going to lie.
Yeah, people do lie. I get it, but I appreciate it. Yeah, people lie. I mean, if that's the best they got, wow. I've worked my ass off on the RNC and I don't get paid. I spend a lot of money for it, and I love representing you on the RNC. I love being your voice, your bold voice there. Okay? And I'd love to, by the way, when we talk about term limits, I was one of the main people pushing for that back when we got it. Because I don't think people should die on the RNC.
My question is for Mr. Frazier. You're relatively new in this arena, and I appreciate all the work you've done in Fulton County, but it seems like you are doing good work there, and Jason Thompson's been doing fantastic work on the RNC. You haven't made, it's the kind of question I asked Amy earlier, you're not making a compelling case for why now? And the second part of my question, if this goes to a second ballot, who will you be throwing your support behind?
All right. So the first question, why now? So I've spent, as you know, a lot of my time working in Fulton County on their voter roll issues. I've expanded that to helping out a lot of other counties, a lot of other states. One of the biggest gaps in the RNC is election integrity. As many have said, election integrity needs to be one of the top, if not the top issue if we're going to win in future elections. It has not been a top priority in the past. It has to be. They need educated. They don't have a bench strength that I have witnessed helping drive this change, helping from within, helping somebody that has been in the bottom, looking at one of the most corrupt counties in the state and one of the most corrupt states as far as voter rolls go. I've looked at a lot of other states, they don't look this bad. Everyone I've looked at does not look this bad. So I think they need somebody that can guide them, educate them, bring that forward, and get that across the finish line, grow it. It needs to be nationwide. It should not be grassroots people with a laptop sitting on the couch doing this. It should not be me calling my friends and friends calling me and people across the country doing this. It needs to be a full concerted effort. The RNC, as some of the other questions have been, how are we going to campaign and bring in money? Well, the RNC will bring in money if they win. The RNC will bring in money if they support people like the folks that Fannie Willis is going after. We've got to support our own. We've got to fight these battles. As far as the other question, I am here to win. I put my name in the hat, not because I was bored, not because I had nothing to do, but because I believe that I have the skill set to help bring this forward. And why now? Because now is the most important time in modern history that we need election integrity. Maybe somebody was cheating in years past by putting an extra rock in a bucket. But now it's electronic. The voter rolls take a certain skill set that not everybody can do. I'm not saying I'm the only one that can do it. There are a ton of other folks that can do this sort of thing. But unfortunately, most of those people work full-time and get paid a pretty nice check. But I happen to be in a unique position that I can spend all the hours of my day helping fight this. And I've got some experience that unfortunately the RNC does not have. And as far as what am I going to do if I don't win? Well, I guess we'll talk about that when that comes, but I've already told many of you. I've got a relationship with Mr. Cross. My mind is not made up. It could change with the win. We'll see what comes out, what I learned. But right now, I'm fighting for myself and I'm trying to win.